do, what to do. What's going on? Found some time to stream, so here we are doing some stream. Dreams on my... Oh, I'll just remove that because that's weird. Alright. Getting all the dots crossed, the I's crossed, and the T's dotted. All that. All right. All right, let's get something accomplished. What do we say? Lots of little projects started, and as usual, not finishing many, but always starting new ones, because that's just how we roll. This is what we do around here. A little bit of advertising, and then I'll turn the camera on, and we'll get going. There, and I can turn this off and say hello. Hello. Alright. We got all sorts of stuff going on here. Set the camera at the right angle. There we go. So we got these simple road bases. I don't know if you saw the video go up earlier today. Kind of how I did it. Again, wasn't meant to be something that was super try hard, much more just a fun little exercise, and can we make something that looks vaguely like a road? And so we did. But what I'm going to do now is muddy them up with some typhus corrosion, and well, actually, you know what, I'm not going to do that right now because I have to do the treads on the tanks first, and then I'll do that, because when I get to the point where I want to put the corrosion on, I'm also going to want the tracks to show up behind the tank, so it looks like they're driving through the mud that's on the road. So while I do that, I want everything to be done, because pretty much after that it's going to be stuck there in place. So I'm going to quite literally just going to put them down so they'll get the track. I won't use that one because the tracks on that one are terrible. I'll find one where the tracks are good, and then I'll make the little tracks. Worst case scenario, I'll find something that can look like tracks as I put it down on there. And there we go. So I'll put those to the side for now. I'll actually paint the rest of the tanks instead of just doing their bases. These there, so you can actually see them. And bunch of fresh mechs off the printer this morning. 8 of them, 2 more lances worth. Just got the support stuck in here. You got 3 bushwhackers, catapult K2, got a crab, got a hunchback, got a centurion, got an atlas. Good little mix of mechs. How's it going, Maker? Just figured I'd hop on. I had an hour to spare before I have to go and bake a bunch of cookies for tomorrow, so I figured I'd jump on and get some time in. The stream actually forces me to be super productive, and so I'm using it as a good motivation. So put these mechs over here because I'm not going to prime them right now. What color theme for the mechs? I haven't decided yet. That's kind of like a last minute thing. I get the mechs all ready to be primed, and then I'll pick a base color and work up from that. It's all kind of chaotic. You hear that little buzzing sound? That's the paint mixer I bought myself for Christmas. It's good for typhus corrosion because that settles very quickly. But artistic, yeah. I'll know what the theme is when I'm done, and then it'll be kind of obvious at that point to me. Don't know where I'm going, but when we get there, I'll pretend that was the goal all along. So I've got these 8 tanks. Looking through the Battletech stuff, I've been kind of trying to print every mech I can find so I can have more than plenty of selection. I realized I don't have very many tanks. I do have a couple. I have the what are they called? The Shrike PPC tanks. I also have 2 long toms from back in the day. They were little Ralph Hartha long toms, but other than that, I didn't really have very many tanks, and so I printed these off of Thingiverse. These probably pretty obvious what that is, a big LRM carrier. And then we've got some lighter mechs. Can't remember the names at the moment, but eventually I'll go back to the files and grab their names, and probably end up printing their names on the bottom so that I can memorize them, because my brain is getting old. I can't remember names of things as well anymore. Battle mechs, sure. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Yikes. That was something. First sneeze on stream there. I know what that was. Alright, so I'm going to do their tracks. I've got pretty much their guns and missile racks painted. I need to do the tracks, and then I'll wash them, and then the very last step I mentioned the typhus corrosion. I'm going to use that to muddy this up to make it much more realistic, because right now it's just kind of base colors. And I'll kind of push them through the mud a little bit. I'll track them so they'll have a track in the typhus corrosion, and then I'll place them on there. Now it's kind of sad that some the bigger tanks are so big they cover up most of the road, but you and I will know they're there, so that's what's important. All right, so yeah, that was a fun little project this morning. Just kind of quick and dirty vase making, not super simple. If I were doing something like a commission or something, and I wanted to put a little bit more effort into them, I'd probably put some texture down off of the road on the dirt. In fact, I still might do that if I feel the call here in the next day or two as I'm working on this. Put texture down, prime it, and then paint it to look like whatever ground color I want. And that would make it look much more realistic, because then you have the flat road and then the bumpy, realistic dirt next to it. In fact, I think I'm going to do that. Now the only question is, do I want to do that right now, or do I want to paint tracks? I think I better paint tracks. Alright, so I'm not going to do steel tracks. I'm going to do kind of a bronze metallic. Let's see if I can find the right bronze. This chaotic painting setup I have here, where most of the desk is now covered in paints, and the paint racks are mostly empty. You take a paint off the paint rack, you use it, and then you set it aside on the desk. And then gradually, as time passes, more and more paints are on your desk and not on the paint rack. Alright, where is it? Alright, here we go. So I'm going to use the Room Lord Brass to go for that tracks on that. Because they're going to get muddied up anyway, and so they may as well look kind of... Seems kind of pointless to use something like lead belcher and then muddy it up anyway. At least with the Rune Lord Brass, it's going to look a little dirty to start with. So it's all good. Alright, next up, and we'll do the... So what do you got going on today, Maker? You doing any family visiting over the holiday, or just hanging out, working on stuff? We're headed over to the in-laws. They just moved over here and bought a house, so we're gonna help them help them get settled, celebrate their move by having a Christmas Eve dinner there. Which, of course, the other benefit for us is that we don't have to cook. So that's all good. Pretty awesome they got to move out here. So we're gradually trying to encourage the whole family to move across the state to join us. How's it going, Emery? Tonks. Yeah, tonks. Battletechs need something to shoot at. Right? Give them some tanks. Plus the boys will love playing with these. You know, one of the good things about being able to print in being able to 3D print is it's not the end of the world if something breaks. Like letting the kids play with the resin stuff, because I know worst case scenario they break something and I just print another one and do it. Make another one. It's not the end of the world. When you have a rough and tumble 7-year-old, it kind of comes with the deal that eventually things are going to get broken. Just gotta go with it. Alright, no, it's the first time ever low on Christmas. Polymaker gave me a gift. Let's finish a bolter in dark gold and making a Christmas balloons. Crinkle it back to. Well, that's cool. You're going your own way, doing your own thing. Maybe a nice, quiet, calming Christmas. That would be good. There's something to be said for that. Yeah, besides our trip to the in-laws tomorrow, we won't be going anywhere for Christmas, which is kind of nice because for years we packed up and went either to one set of grandparents or the other. But now we're finally at the point where we're like, you guys can come to us. We have all the toys and the place to stay and all that. You don't have to. They don't have to do everything anymore. Alright, I am going to do the barrels in yellow, and those will be kind of a neat little accent on the back. But right now it's just tread work. Yeah, glue it back together, stick some copper wire in it to give it some rigidity and call it good. I was working on that Robot Legion big figure, but it's so spindly it eventually just falls off of the base and breaks. So I need to figure out a way to put wire in it, up its leg at least, to hold it. It's super awkward to paint, and it's kind of why I'm pushing it off and not getting it done. Clearly not going to be done in time for the one-page rules painting contest, that's for sure. Oh well. Plans of mice and men. Seemed like a good idea at the time. Living the dream. Yeah, I guess so. It's kind of a weird thing. Like, so I posted pictures of the hobby basement that's finished, and got some comments about like being jealous or I'm lucky. Like, thank you, and I know it wasn't meant to be kind of combative, but luck has very little to do with working really, really hard for more than a decade to get to where you are. And try to make good choices and don't spend your money on drugs and alcohol and gambling and any of that stuff. And it was always our goal and our plan to have a house that the boys could grow up in a nice community, which we have, and have a game room and a library, and that was what we kept close to our hearts and worked towards for a long time. Luck had very little to do with it. Guess I was lucky not to get hit by a car, or lucky not to have an airplane fall on me. Well, yeah, that when the virus hit, I'm not even going to say its name because I think YouTube knocks it down if you talk about it too much. But when a certain virus hit, my goal was to make sure things were well set, just in case things didn't turn out well for me personally, health-wise. And so I think with the completion of this remodeling project and the fact that we're settled in this new place, I think that goal was met. Because if, God forbid, something did happen to me at this point, my family would be okay. They've got the in-laws close by to support, and the kids are in a good school district with good friends and solid teachers. They would be okay. That's kind of morbid to talk, so I'm not going to do it anymore. Today should be happy. I'm going to bust out the chocolate chip cookie recipe today here. Once I'm done with the stream, we got to get the factory cookie production up and running. We'll make like a quadruple batch of chocolate chip mint cookies. Should be good. Have to refine the recipe because it's a new oven, and every oven's a little bit temperamental. Every unique has its own features, so you gotta adjust things time-wise and heat-wise sometimes. If you'd like to collab, I would definitely be interested. So we'll have to talk. But yeah, definitely open to the possibility. I've done a few streams with others, so it usually goes well. Haven't had any complaints. Everyone survived. The light. Drink if you're playing the drinking game at home. Happens at least once a stream. I smash my head into the camera. It's my fault I have such a big, thick skull. Alright. Getting some tracks done. I haven't even really been checking to see if it was on camera. Hopefully it was. Like, have an entire stream and almost none of it is on camera. That would be hilarious. Good, high-quality production. Then again, you get what you pay for. When it's free, I guess you can't really complain. But that you can click off and go somewhere else, I suppose. Keep it interesting. Make you something. Cool. Yeah, it sounds like a possibility. As long as we put the scope on the hatchet, right? All hatchets need scopes. Better to have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. You don't want to be in a life and death situation with your hatchet and be like, man, I really wish I had a scope right now. Too late, my friend. Die is cast. You go to war with the weapons you have, not the weapons you want. I'm not worrying so much about the bottom of the treads, since you're not going to see them anyway. Very handy painting tip. You know, don't paint stuff. Don't spend a whole lot of time on stuff that no one's ever going to see. Unless you are the sort of person who's going to worry about it and get annoyed by it, then that's on you. Unlock the bipod for that. Aim small, miss small with the hatchet. When you don't want to throw a hatchet and miss, right? Because now your enemy has a hatchet. You just armed your enemy, so don't miss. Tiny, tiny tanks. With tiny, tiny treads. Because that's kind of the neat thing about painting in this scale is you don't really need to get insane detail because you're dealing with something that's so small and people aren't going to be looking at it from that close anyway. Again, you paint to the level that makes you happy. That's what I would say. I was on Artist Empire stream yesterday, and he was talking about my painting and like, oh, he likes how it's not super try hard, and if I were the kind of person to take offense to things, I'd be like, what do you mean it doesn't look like a try-hard? But what he meant was is much more of like an accessible style than like a professional painter who spends 6 weeks on a figure and makes it look insanely good. Like not the kind of painting I can do. And not the painting I want to do. I want to do much more functional, like, here's how to make something look decent on the table and maybe improve things here and there, but also get stuff done. I mean, it shouldn't take you 6 weeks to paint eight little tanks for Battletech. I mean, you'd never have enough never have what you need, never have your army done. And plus, I start way too many projects to ever spend that much time on something. So I'm going to work to make something look good enough to past my standard, and hopefully good enough that people will think it's neat. I like that little SRM turret. I guess that might be an LRM 10 and an LRM 5 or an LRM 15. Either way. I don't know, I'd have to look it up. How's it going, RB? Hey, Zesty Taco. Yeah, washes and glazes help so much. Absolutely. Washes cover up so many painting sins. It's great. Is it, what do they say? Talent in a bottle? Bottled talent? It looks good. I'm just that skilled. No, not really. Yes, we have to get the cookies made because the mint chips are in the house. And once the mint chips have entered the front door, then the clock's ticking before eventually either the 7-year-old or the 12-year-old will pillage the bag and eat all the mint chips. Or more likely they will pillage it together and claim they didn't know it was meant for cookies. Those of you who were once teenagers in a house or have teenagers in the house, food tends to go pretty quick. Or tween is definitely hitting those the growth spurt cravings. And the sleeping till 11 in the morning on vacation days. Good times. Battletech, thinking about printing Battletech lineup. What do you mean by printing a Battletech lineup? Like the mechs? I was without resin for a while, but then my monthly shipment came in, so now I've been printing more battle mechs. Got another set of 8 off the printer this morning. 3 different variants of the Bushwhacker, which I didn't have any of before, and I've never owned one before that. To get rid of this because it's spam, some sort of link. Cut loose for the holiday. Things will go off the rails on Christmas morning, that's for sure. Though mostly the older child is teasing the younger one by claiming he's going to sleep in, which will delay the present opening process, which of course the 7-year-old is not having any of. Does not to like that prospect. He will likely be up at like 6 a.m. and shortly waking up everyone else after that. I don't know how he ended up with such an early riser. Do they have sent free resin yet? Not that I know of. I have a big air filtration system that I keep right next to my printer. And so I turn it on and it kind of runs whenever I have resin out. And it does a pretty good job of soaking up the fumes. They're not as bad as advertised. If anything, the IPA alcohol, the isopropyl, is worse. than the resin. And at least with the resin, you don't have to worry about like spilling it and blowing yourself up if you have your station right next to the furnace. Burn the house down. I wouldn't do that. Alright, tank. These big guys are a little bit more of a challenge. Did the camo on the stream yesterday. So started with brown and then various shades of green to build up to that forest camo. Almost using the dry brush. I guess it's a makeup brush, but using it as a dry brush to dab it on, so it gives it kind of that digital camo look. So works pretty well on battle mechs and tanks and other things at this scale. A little less successful with the larger scale items, but can be done. The techniques, I've seen it done, and even things as big as like Land Raiders. So, all good. Alright, this one get done. This one got done. That one got done. This is the last one. Alright. And we'll do something more interesting like paint barrels. That's the interesting stuff. That's what puts butts in chairs. Painting barrels. Look like micro. They do look like micro machines, actually. Which are pretty expensive, by the way. I was looking for some. I was kind of looking at all the different types of older toys that I had growing up to see if my boys would want them over the years, and micro machines are a little pricey. And some of them packages are like upwards of $1 a car. Like, that seems a bit high for about 5 cents worth of plastic and metal. I guess if I wanted to be really fancy, I could order the wheels and the little axle metal separately and then resin print the cars. That'd be kind of neat. There's a job for you, Maker. Make a bunch of little cars that we can print. But you could find somewhere some Chinese factory or something that makes the wheel assemblies and the little axle metal. I guess worst case scenario, you could just use paper clip metal and make the tires yourself. See, there you go, solving problems. Cool you showed up. Really wasn't expecting anybody to show up because it's kind of a slow day on YouTube, but the video that went up this morning, it was a bunch of crickets. Like, I know it wasn't a super try-hard video, but oof. Better luck next time, I guess. Can't all be home runs. It's alright. Drink. appreciate it. Alright. Getting just about done here. I'm not going to bump my head against the camera anymore. That's it. That was last time. We're going to die from alcohol poisoning. Love you. Yeah. I guess it's 4 o'clock. Oh. Alright, so tracks are done. That was mostly painless. Alright, let's do some barrels. Let's go with a dirty yellow. Avalanche Sunset would work. Make some fuel barrels. Lies. It's just a satisfying sound and fun to hold on the little shaker. And it seems to do its work. Much better than doing the hand gesture to shake up a paint, and then if it's off screen, it looks like you're doing something obscene. So, yeah, don't have to do that anymore. Alright, paint some barrels. Give them a little bit of color. These guys will also get a unit marking eventually. Just have to decide in my brain what that unit marking will be. I did get, and these are not going to be Jade Falcon tanks, but did order these for the mechs from now on. So whenever I do a Jade Falcon mech, I'll be able to do that instead of trying to hand paint the symbol on them, which will be good, because that's just not great when I try to do it freehand. Alright. Doing some barrels. Make them nice and dirty yellow barrels on the back, so people know where to shoot. I guess they wouldn't be yellow in real life, but it's Battletech, so we suspend our disbelief anyway. Oh. This one's neat because it has the dozer blade on the front. Clearing, and this one's got that minesweeper front, which is kind of neat too. Good times. Well, these ones are, I guess they are barrels. Long barrels. I hear people shifting around in the kitchen, like we're preparing for cookie making. Bust out the grandma's cookie recipe. Which is basically just chocolate chippers. If you've ever seen that recipe online, it's like an old Betty Crocker recipe. Chocolate chippers, but replacing the... You add more vanilla, and then you replace butter with shortening. If you use butter, the cookies are a lot crispier, but then they get hard and aren't so much fun to eat after a day or two. But if you use Crisco, then the cookies stay nice and soft. Nice little baking trick. Didn't think you would get that today, but you did. This is now a baking channel, so I mentioned on Twitter the other day that I really appreciate cookie Twitter during the holidays. It's like all the people who paste their cookies, the results of their cooking. Yummy cookies. I'm a sucker for a good cookie. It's not below me or above me. I'm not above. I'm not below. I'm not above searching on Twitter cookie to see what people post. Got some barrel back there. Cookies made up a couple of days ago. We do half and half. You mean split half butter, half Crisco? Yes, you can do that. If then you get kind of a midway point. Rum and pecan balls. You almost gone. Those looked good. Didn't you post a picture of those earlier? I think I saw those. Not bad. Mrs. Mechanical Frog loves a good pecan pie. That's what she likes every Thanksgiving. Pretty much the only one in the house who actually does like it, but it still gets made and she consumes it. So it's just part of tradition. I make cookies, she makes the pies. My mother makes the best fudge ever, so when we see them a couple of days after Christmas, we'll hopefully get some more fudge. That always goes quick. The kids are so weird. They're super picky eaters here at the house, but when anything my mom makes, they consume like ravenously. Like my youngest doesn't like red spaghetti sauce, which we have all the time. They're part Italian. We eat a lot of red sauce and noodles in the house, but he won't touch it. But when he goes to his grandmother's house and she makes a red sauce, he'll hoover it down. Now, we've told him that it's the exact same recipe and I make it the exact same way because she taught me how to make the red sauce. But he swears up and down that it tastes different. So, fine. I understand. Grandmas make things better. It's fact truism, if there ever was one. Grandma cookies taste better. Grandma meals taste better. That's alright. It's hard to beat Grandma's cooking. Yeah. Though it's funny, the younger child really likes pesto, so he doesn't eat the red sauce, but we buy pesto and he has pesto noodles instead on the same night that we have the red sauce. So he loves pesto sauce, but his grandmother doesn't like pesto at all. So when he first asked for it when he was over at her house, she's like, "No, I don't make pesto noodles," and just have to learn to love the red sauce over there. Just strange to me, like, not liking a red sauce, but liking pesto as a kid. Like, it's all green and, you know, I don't know. He's weird. A weird kid. Like, they'll eat pesto noodles, but they don't eat macaroni and cheese. So no mac and cheese, no, a lot of the things that are like kid standard growing up, things like chili and mac and cheese, they don't like at all. That was kind of weird. Though I guess I shouldn't be surprised I ended up with weird kids. You've got the DNA to work from. You had limited number of options there. You can only recombine nerd and nerd together to get so many different things. Yeah, you can't fight in some ways you can't fight genetics, and so well, like, you're gonna be a dork. Sorry, that's just how it goes. Though to the younger child's credit, he makes friends. He's a lot more outgoing than I ever was, and he makes friends like instantly when we go down to the city park or any of the parks over the summer. Any kid he sees out playing, even kids that are 4 or 5 or 6 years older than him, he'll run up to, like, hey, well, you want to play with me? It'll be great. We'll do this, this, and this. And it's kind of funny sometimes. He'll go up to these middle school kids, like, will you play with me? And they kind of look at him like he's crazy. But then a couple of times they've said, oh yeah, sure, we'll play. And so he ends up playing with these kids that are even older than his older brother. That probably has something to do with it, the fact that he has a brother who's 5 years older, so he's kind of used to playing with older kids. But he's just fearless about asking people if they want to get out there and play, which is awesome. All right, we're going to dirty up these barrels because they are super bright. Let's see if I can find that orangish red wash that I created. This one. It says orange wash on it. It's got a mixture of orange pigment and some Army Painter wash in it, if I recall correctly. But it's not as powerful because you can't do. Where's the Gryph-hound orange? It's hard to do as an example if it doesn't show up. The contrast Gryph-hound orange is way too dark for using it as a orange wash. Cassandra yellow is too light, so it doesn't actually show up. And there's nothing else that I've really seen that's a good orange wash, so I had to make my own. See if I can find a mixing machine. Oops, gonna need a new one. I know I've said this before, but great investment off of Amazon, super cheap. I think it was like $10 for a whole bunch of these. And you just kind of use them until they're all crusty, and you can clean them by soaking them in like simple green. Or save yourself the trouble and recycle them. I think they're recyclable. Mac and cheese. Give me almost cheese soup for something. That's true. True. Yeah, over the years, I've occasionally tried to make the kind of boxed craft stuff for them. And they take one look at it and say, "Nope, we're not touching that." Or what they've learned to do is say, "Oh, I've tried that before. I didn't like it, so no, thank you." Which sometimes has a ring of truth to it, and sometimes it sounds like complete BS. But yeah. All right, so let's see what this looks like. There we go. So just orange enough to catch the edges, settle into the divots, grooves. And light enough that even if it hits the green, it's not going to do anything. So, works for a nice light wash. Looking forward to hearing about the Matrix movie. Wasn't planning on seeing it like right away, but I'm interested in seeing like the reviews from like the Drinker. And if you follow that YouTuber, does some pretty entertaining reviews. So I'm interested to see what he thought of it. There was a little kind of I think he tweeted out or something that he's like, "What the heck did I just watch?" Bodes well for an entertaining review. It's almost better when they're terrible, and then you get the hilarious reviews. What's the spam today? Sheesh. People out in droves. Bots out in droves, I guess. We played the Dune Imperium when we were breaking in the game room for the first time the other night, and played the Dune Imperium, which is a board game made and released to go along with the movie, the recent movie. And it's pretty good. It's basically a deck builder with worker placement elements to it, which is it was definitely leads to some heavy competition and some moments where you think you're about to win, some combat or some situation you think you're about to come out on top, and then someone drops something that you had no idea they had, and it completely changes the outcome. So definitely more than a few of those moments as we played. It did end up taking, I think we played for 3 hours. Longer than I thought it would take, but it very much fit the theme of the movie. Lots of political intrigue and get your combat and your resource gathering spice from the desert, which is kind of funny. Each person gets a card with a character trait, and basically skills that only your character can use. And mine ended up being someone who has a spice addiction. And what initially looks like a negative, every time this character harvests spice, there's several places on the board where you can put a worker and it harvests the spice from that location. But every time that character harvests the spice, they harvest one less. But the trade-off for that is you get to draw a card off your deck. And so it is kind of a negative if you're really, every spice is important to you if you wanted to get all of them. But getting that card is also really good too. So it's an interesting way to make that character unique. And each one of them has their own their skill. The Baron Harkonnen has one where you're dealing with all of the factions. I think there's 4 factions. You got the Spacing Guild, you've got the Bene Gesserit, you've got the Fremen, and you can build up your reputation with each group as you play the game. And when you access them for the spot, you can you build up your reputation with them. You can lose reputation with them, which is so. There's definitely lots of political intrigue. So pretty cool. I would definitely recommend it if you're into kind of worker placement and and deck building, then the game's pretty solid. And they're very competitive too. Some people have that complaint that games, some of those games are more like just sitting down and doing math in your head, and you're not really interacting with other players. Definitely not the case with this one. Yeah. Our version is too informed by egg noodles and butter. We ate a lot of egg noodles growing up. My dad, bless his heart, didn't often make didn't make dinner. So when dad's version of dinner was either chili, mac and cheese, or breakfast for dinner, which meant French toast or pancakes. Yeah, I love him, but definitely not the cook of the house. That's for sure. All right, what else are we gonna do to these? We're gonna do the lights on the front. So we're going to make those lights nice and bright. And the first step for that is going to be our go-to for white or any sort of bright color on top of a dark background. So the Pro Acro Bold Titanium White, if you've never seen on the stream before, I go to it all the time. But it is awesome because it's so pigment heavy that you get maybe... Really, it is one coat coverage. If you were going to leave it white and not come back to it, 2 coats. But if you're going to do something and then paint over it with a lighter color, 1 coat with the white is plenty. And even over black, which is pretty awesome. MTG is my name. Do you want to see the new bolter? I do. So definitely. Definitely. I want to see. Alright, so we're going to do the little lights on the front. And then, so we'll do them white first and then hit over the top with the color. So I'm going to see if I can focus my eyes, first of all. And try to hit the little circles in there. Gosh, I'm going to need a magnifying glass. I had one. I think it's in a box somewhere. Paint a lot of 10 mil stuff. You're going to need a magnifying glass. Or I need better glasses. Oof. Okay. Where is my magnifying glass? I have to dig through the boxes and see if I can find it. That up. See if we can clean it up. Go quick enough, you can undo the damage. Yep. But yeah, fun game. Definitely worth purchase if you're into board games and like Dune. It definitely fits the theme. Oh golly, alright. This is worse than Space Marine Eyes. It's like super focusing. I can't even get to those. No, I'm not even going to try at that. Can't get an angle. No. Won't matter anyway, can't see it. Can't see it, don't care. Oh, it's awful. Alright. Keep going. Don't stop. Oh, definitely hear cookie stuff going on upstairs. Gonna have to go here soon. Don't think they'll want to do it without me. Gotta love physics. Let the paint draw itself into the corner. Works well. Fluid dynamics, right? I didn't actually take physics in high school. I skipped over that. Went to a high school that had basically the equivalent of a running start program, and so I didn't really have a senior year at high school. I went to university to take classes there and graduate a year early. High school was not my jam. Alright, I got some, last one. I got too much white paint out. That's okay. Did too poor technology. That is a complicating factor for sure. I was lucky enough to go to college because my grandfather left some money for our education, so my siblings and I had that to work from. So thankfully we didn't have too much debt. I had a little bit getting out of school, but not too much. Definitely sympathize with, empathize with people who try to advance their education but find the financials in the way. It really is a shame how expensive we let things get. Alright. You know what? I would be perfectly fine if my sons grew up and ended up in a trade rather than heading off to... I'd much rather pay for a trade school than I would a university at this point. Learn how to do things with your hands and fix things and be useful. That's a noble thing. No qualms about that. Alright, so I've got those there. I hear stuff going on upstairs, so I think I'm going to have to call it good. But we did get the barrels done, got the tracks done, so I made pretty good progress. Got a few details on the tops of the tanks that still need to be done before calling it good. Little rope there. A couple of these have these 4 have treads on the front that need to be painted that I forgot. Other than that, I think we're good. So definitely won't be streaming tomorrow. There may not be a video tomorrow, or maybe a little short one, but that'll be pretty much it. I'll take tomorrow and Christmas off. Spend time with family.
So those of you who have plans, I hope they go well. If you're just going to be chilling and having a nice, peaceful Christmas like Maker, then let it be very peaceful and relaxing and recharging. I try to be helpful. I would hope we all try to be helpful. Right? Try to make the world a slightly better place today and tomorrow. All right. Well, take care. Enjoy your holiday. I will see you again soon, hopefully. Be awesome. Adios.